Kia ora, everyone. Welcome. First of all, we're really grateful to have Tim Coldwell here as president of Chandos Construction in Canada. And I'm also joined here by Sam Edmonds, who's principal of bioservices at Social Traders. I'm Sean Barnes, director of social procurement at the Akina Foundation, and we look forward to exploring the construction industry and lessons from Canada and Chandos and Tim. So thanks for joining us.
Right. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
Okay. So Chandos Construction is a purpose-driven, 100% employee-owned commercial contractor in Canada. We come at that we have this high kind of need for authenticity, and a few other pieces. We are modeled loosely after Mondragon from Spain, the world's largest employee-owned cooperative. I would say early 2000s, we had been studying Mondragon, and my predecessor is a guy named Tom Reddle, great mentor for me in the organization. He actually flew to Spain and he spent some time with Mondragon, and he developed this thing called the Statement of Intent for our organization. So it's a one-pager, talks about a bunch of stuff, but it basically says that people have a deep sense of purpose and meaning from their work, and that we as an organization will govern ourselves not just by the bottom line, but also consider other stakeholders, the community, the environment, and that we would focus first on people, and that we believe that success and profitability, and I would say strong profitability, is a byproduct of that focus on people. And it's served us well. And so we are the largest of the mid-sized commercial contractors in Canada. I came into this year with a sales target of about 820 million. We're on track actually to be pretty close to that, even with COVID for this year. Revenues of around 600 million a year, 500 employees, and we use a distributed leadership model. So we don't have a head office with all the brass in it. We've spread the senior folks out across the organization and have a very distributed approach. Yeah, 40% of the ownership, or less than 40% of the ownership, is with executives. And so the majority of the company is owned by project managers, superintendents, carpenters, laborers. To our knowledge, we are the only contractor, certainly in Canada, possibly in North America, that provides 100% employee ownership, including carpenters and laborers. So I self-identify as an at-risk youth. I was going to be in a cardboard box on the street if I didn't figure it out. And that backstory is I came out of a world of ultra-conservative fundamental Christianity, evangelical Christianity. My father's a minister. And I got a scholarship to go study engineering at the University of Alberta. And around that same point in time, I got a job at Chandos. And I didn't have the best experience or the best grades, but I did have a good attitude and I worked hard. And Chandos took a chance on me and gave me an opportunity. And I found a second family and a deep sense of purpose in the organization. And it's brought me to where I am today. And certainly have this desire to give back. And I think I understand what it's like to not have a net. You see the work that social enterprises do. And, I have a perspective on what that's all about, and also have a perspective on how business can be part of the solution there. So,
was there a key point when the principles of social procurement, and I'd be interested in the way you describe it in Chandos, how does this fit into your organization now? And were there any key points where this started to really grab, hold of your work?
So the employee ownership thing, long legacy in that. We were doing what I would characterize as social procurement-ish work for decades. I personally am very interested in the idea, I hesitate to say of monetizing that, but the idea that businesses can solve some of the biggest problems in the world, and in so doing differentiate, and in so doing be more profitable. I think you can adapt the business model to address the same issue that the charity is dealing with, but we can scale it infinitely because we're making a profit from it. And that's Michael Porter's stuff from 2006. We started with a delivery method called integrated project delivery, and it was a blue ocean strategy to create demand for a delivery method that public owners didn't know they wanted. And, we won like 30 projects with an aggregate value of almost $2 billion through that whole adventure. And the owners didn't know they wanted it. As we're a B Corp, we can show up as a deeply authentic, with a deeply authentic desire to do this. We view it as we're going to make more money because we're doing this, and we're going to be more successful for a whole bunch of reasons, and just come at it from that way of being, right?
So what does it look like scale-wise now in Chandos in terms of, you talk about social hiring as well, so you're very big on social hiring, but in terms of the use of social enterprise and buying from these types of organizations in your supply chain, what does that kind of scale like?
And we made a commitment to do 10% impact sourcing, but we also made a commitment to do that at zero premium cost to the taxpayer, and to prove that it's zero premium cost by having peer-reviewed research occur on the project while we're doing it. And I think that's going to be, that project will be a tipping point.
Following on from that, you've already started to see the results of that work, haven't you? And it'd be interesting to share what you are seeing with that research.
Why do social procurement? Number one, in the construction industry, there is an absolute crisis in labor. The baby boomers are retiring. And when was the last time you heard a junior high kid say, I want to go be a mason, or I want to pour concrete? With population growth, that's the primary driver of construction. And we have an aging infrastructure from the 70s that stuff's fallen down. So just kind of bottomless demand there. So the industry has a crisis. And I think one of the main things the industry needs to address is the stigma around the trades. Many people in the trades make significantly more money than people with advanced degrees. So the industry is just like, it's good for the industry because this is a great way for us to get talented people into the industry. It's good for the business that's doing it, because when you hire someone who's like me from back in the day and you give that person a chance, they're going to blow the doors off of pretty much every other employee you have in terms of work ethic, dedication, loyalty. Granted, there is going to be some issues around churn. To find the person that's going to blow the doors off, you probably have to churn through 10 or 12. And then I would also say, another piece, we've done a lot of work with Afdel Aziz from LA. He's a world-renowned branding expert, and probably the #1 guy in the world in the area of purpose-driven brands. And there's a few stats there that are staggering. What is it? 89% of kids coming out of high school today believe that businesses have a moral obligation to solve some of the biggest problems in the world.
From a leadership perspective, how do you get to those people inside your organization? And what's been successful for you to engage that front line, the project managers, the estimators, the procurement personnel?
My style is I talk about the benefits of this, much in the same way as I'm talking with you folks. And then our frontline folks, the project managers, the estimators, they get all fired up about it because they have an opportunity to do something good for the world. Our people see that opportunity. They love the idea of giving back to community and society, but they also see us winning incremental work because we're seen as leaders in this, right?
What do you think, if you were comparing Chandos to potentially one of your competitors who hasn't quite embraced this yet, what do you think are the things that are missing from a business case that, or there might be perceived things that a competitor might have, or a construction company needs to think about?
I think what's happening, at least in the construction industry, is you got a bunch of people who have absolutely no idea what this is. Their lived experience is so far different from what it would need to be to have a good understanding of this. Here's an example. The National Construction Association we have in Canada has 80 some people on the board. When you take a look at that board, it is not what I would characterize as representative of Canadian society. There's a lot of pale, male, and stale. And so people are talking past each other. And the policy folks come out of the social enterprise world and have lived and breathed this their whole lives. In my own small way, I hope to be a bit of a translator in that conversation.
What are the key things that they start? Where's the starting position then?
I'll tell the story because it's about leadership. So we were signed up on that project as the contractor, working through pre-construction. In Vancouver, the city of Vancouver has a community benefit agreement. That is a bylaw in the city. So you have to have a CBA when the GFA of the building is over 475,000 feet. Big projects, right? So that's hundreds of millions, kind of a number. And I knew that this client was particularly keen on social procurement, and the project had an indigenous piece to it. It was a drug detox facility, transitional and affordable housing, all sorts of stuff. And we were already engaged on this. So I said to our guys, I said, why don't we call up the owner and say we want to, we know there is no requirement by bylaw to do this to do social procurement on the job. But what if we turned it into a test case? And so we called up the client, and I thought they were going to jump across the table and hug us with the suggestion that we had, let's do this. And then their smiles got even bigger when we said, and we want to try to do this and demonstrate that there's no premium capital cost.
So the formalization of this is really important now. I guess you're moving into that phase now, aren't you? Where you're building this into your business.
Yeah. We want the Holy Grail will be, so every project has a project execution plan right now. The Holy Grail will be every project has a impact component on it. And on some projects, it will be bigger than other projects, but we want to say that on 100% of our projects, we, with our owners, have developed an impact plan and be able to produce statistics to prove that we actually did what we were talking about, right? General contractors are kind of like a wound looking for a knife some days. Or another way of saying it is there's a lack of leadership. For 100 years, contractors have been taught to sit back and wait to be told. We're going to differentiate and we're going to win more business. So let's change the rule book. So when social procurement became a thing, it's just interesting how the industry sees it as downside instead of opportunity. That's the one thing I would say. And then, back to the, for 100 years been programmed to follow, we diverted 98% of the construction waste on our first lead project. And we looked at the numbers and we're like, it cost a little bit more, but it didn't cost much. And this is the right thing to do. The job site was cleaner. It's good for society. And man, if we tell the owners we're doing this, we're going to be able to differentiate. So we did that. And I think that to this day, we are the only contractor in Canada that diverts construction waste on every project. But the genie's out of the bottle. There's no way that it's not going to be more and more of the fabric of the Canadian construction industry. Now, and we're a mid-sized contractor. There's organizations that are much bigger than us in Canada. They start to get moving on it. The demand side, it'll quickly shift from not enough demand to not enough supply. And then it'll be key for the social enterprises to be able to scale. And I have confidence in their ability to do that. But if I have a message for the social enterprises, you have to understand what value is to the organizations that you're serving. It just needs to be easy for general contractors and subcontractors to call up social enterprises and get what we need.
Yeah, that's great.
I want to find someone who's kind of mid-size, little bit of a black sheep maybe, known for some innovation. And if you find a contractor that you think is really keen or maybe could be turned into very keen, I'm happy to have a conversation directly with them for you. And so in North America, Canadians like to make fun of the Americans just because, but if you want to go to where the cutting edge is in terms of innovation in the construction industry, it's in San Francisco. And that's just the way it is. And so we've had a long history of snuggling up to our American brethren down in the Bay Area, and we've learned so much from them. We're not competitors. They're not in our market. We kind of go and we do these summits and we do an open book. Here's what we're doing. They do, here's what we're doing. We share stuff back and forth.
Yeah, we've probably got a good diversity, actually. We've got, some that are pretty keen and sort of well on the journey. And then we've got others that sort of say, well, why us? Are you making everyone else do it too? It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's this industry kind of leadership that's really important, I think, to be honest. It's like when you start connecting these pieces together, that's when this starts to take shape, because everyone feels like they're not dealing with the same, they know they're dealing with the same stuff someone else is dealing with, and you just talking it through.
Like maybe the thing that I bring to this is a lot of contractors, like what you're describing, is a victim's mentality. We better do this because government's talking about it. Whereas, why don't you become one of the greatest cheerleaders to help government figure it out? If you leave government alone, they're probably going to have some weird crap that comes through there that you're going to have to contend with.
That's exactly right. They'll do it to you.
Maybe you should get your cheerleading outfit on and get over there and say, we can help you, and make sure it's not goofy. And you're going to win a bunch of work by doing that. Like, I do not understand why people don't get that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we actually might. You've got my brain racking on this. We actually have there's been a construction sector accord formed in New Zealand. I understand it's about 60 different organisations, ranging from the construction industry itself right up to ministers of government, right to all the training bodies, the health and safety body, all of those people who have all come together and said the construction industry has so many inherent problems that are just not getting any better. We've got to come together and solve this. That could be a really interesting conversation. So
I won't derail our conversation. But everything in construction comes back to procurement. Well, it was great to connect.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tim.
You're so generous with your time.
Keep up the good work, for sure.
You've given us a lot of food for thought.